What experience would you rate 0/10? Kidney stones. Frick them on every level. I had my first, and hopefully last, one 2 weeks ago. I have a high threshold for pain, but I was curled up on the bathroom floor, vomiting and unable to speak. The pain was 10/10. 0/10 experience. Do not recommend. Going on a hike with diarrhea. I brought toilet paper just in case I crap myself in the woods. Spoiler alert, I crap myself in the woods. My friend has told me this story many times, and I'm sure it's a 0/10 for him. He got his wisdom teeth out, which is pretty bad already. His appendix wasn't happy with the drugs he was taking, and decided to burst. He went to the hospital and got it removed. Now his mother thought that his appendix burst because he was taking too many painkillers, so they threw them out, or dumped them down the toilet I think. The hospital staff tried to write him a prescription for painkillers, and he said no, he already has him at home. So he shows up at home with a freshly removed appendix and wisdom teeth, and has no painkillers. He calls up the hospital right away and gets a prescription for painkillers and gets them from the closest pharmacy. Turns out, their painkillers didn't fare too well in his stomach, and he started puking. So here he is, freshly stitched up in the stomach, using his stomach muscles to puke out of his mouth that hurts to open because he got his teeth ripped out. Oh, and because he puked up the painkillers, they didn't help. I didn't ask him in advance if this was 0/10, but I don't think I need to. Just put me in a coma at that point. I have some stomach issues, so I needed to have 2 gastroscopies in my life. So you have to know, when you have one you have 2 choices. Be under an anesthetic, sleep through the procedure, and then have a day of being pretty sleepy. So you need to get picked up and brought home because you are not safe to maneuver yourself. Make it without an anesthetic. Have what the doctor explained as mild inconvenience and be fine afterwards. So the second time I had a free day and thought, how bad can a mild inconvenience be, and went through it without an anesthetic. Holy frick, that was the worst. They push this thing through your throat into the stomach. Extremely unpleasant. Then push it back and forth. Extremely unpleasant. While pumping air into your stomach to make better pictures. That means you feel extremely bloated. Feel like you throw up any second. Have to burp constantly while barely being able to, thanks to that huge tube down your throat, and are under immense stress since there shouldn't be a tube in your throat under normal circumstances. Honestly, 0/10. If you have to take a gastroscopy, sleep through it. It's not worth it otherwise. Having to take a crap in a porta-john in Afghanistan with all of my gear, and then hearing an indirect fire warning as soon as the diarrhea starts flowing. I imagine the diarrhea really started flowing then. Having an itchy bumhole when you can't scratch it. Returning my college textbook to book holders to sell it. Bought it used for $110. They offered me $18 for it, but told me if I gave it to them to resell online I'd get $60 or so once it sells. 3 months later they informed me because it didn't sell, they donated it, but they were willing to pay me for its estimated value of $0.73 if I wanted a check. This was like 7 years ago and I don't have any proof of it anymore, so unfortunately I can't do anything. I wish I had at the time. All of my friends who were aware of it did all boycott that bookstore though, so they lost the business of a group of students for the remainder of college. Checking on Google Maps, it appears that store has gone out of business. Good. Open chest surgery of any kind. I was born with a condition where the cartilage in my chest caved in my sternum and was crushing my heart and lungs. When I was 10, they had to crack my chest open, cut the cartilage out, pop my sternum up and put a bar under it to keep it from collapsing back in. As a naive 10-year-old, I was so excited to get my chest fixed and look normal. Waking up in the elevator after an 8-hour surgery, I thought otherwise. I've never been in that much physical pain in my entire life. Hope you're okay now, buddy. I was a pallbearer for my morbidly obese great aunt. It took 8 family members and 4 people from the funeral home staff to carry her. Death is a bummer. Carrying heavy stuff is a bummer. Trying to maintain a respectful "I'm totally not struggling" immensely face while hoping your arm doesn't fall off. 0/10. We have a rule in my family. There is a weight limit on being buried. If you're too big, boom, cremation. We are a lazy people. Pooping in a hot porta potty. Saw the spider. 0/10. A bone marrow biopsy with only local anesthetic. Didn't do it personally but was in the room trying to comfort the person during the procedure. That is the type of crap that haunts you. If you get it done, get knocked out for it. Losing both generators on your ship while 400 miles off the coast of Newfoundland. It took us 3 days to find our way back on nothing but a guess of where we were going. Newfoundland represent. Losing a child. Definitely hope to never do again. I'm so sorry. I too have lost a child and this was by far the worst experience of my life. It happened 15 years ago and the pain is still there. I hope you have been able to find peace. Spinal cord injuries that result in nerve damage. That shoots for life, son. And it really sucks. I know that feel, man. I've seen all kinds of doctors and specialists. Nothing freaking helps. Withdrawals. Easily among the worst things a human can experience. 0/10 would not recommend. I hear you on that. 3 years clean and I can still remember those restless legs. 0/10 for sure. Having double ingrown toenail surgery. On both big toes. On the same day. On 3 separate occasions. Dental abscess. Never do I ever want to experience that crap again. Having your jaw wired shut. Unwavi. Graduating from college in 2009 with a mediocre GPA and a German luxury sedan worth of debt. Sitting in bumper to bumper traffic on a hot day with no food or water with a broken radio, no phone charge and a nearly empty gas tank. I had to have my hymen surgically removed because it was too big for anything to get in there. The recovery was so awkward. I had to keep putting lidocaine gel on my nunu and wait for the stitches to come out. Plus I had to take 2 days off work for the most awkward reason ever. It was still less painful than trying to get through a pelvic exam with a thick as hymen, though. Oh man, I had to get my foreskin removed. Phimosis, if I recall correctly, as a 15-year-old, was freaking terrible. It hurt like a bee, and I was at that point in my life where I'd pop a boner every 10 minutes. Botched root canal. On the other hand, I think I hit the dental jackpot. Had a root canal last week and the Novocaine needle was the thing that hurt the most. Having obsessive compulsive disorder. 0/10 do not recommend. Agreed. I hate living with 100% doubt. 100% of the time. I doubt everything in my life. I even doubt my life. It's an existence fraught with confusion, pain, and disbelief. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. All this crap on here is physical pain, so I'm gonna be slightly different. Being cheated on. It's emotional pain that can hurt so bad it's a physical sensation. Couple that with a newfound inability to trust anyone, and it is very much a 0/10 experience. Maybe 1/10 with rice. On the other hand, breaking your wrist. 0/10. Still 0/10 with rice. Cancer. A few months ago I was mowing my lawn. Unbeknownst to me, some ground nesting hornets had taken up residence in the city water meter box down by the road. As I pushed the mower near the box, the vibrations must have aggravated them because about 1,000 fricking hornets came swarming out at me. Now these hornets are known to be extremely aggressive and will chase you up to a quarter mile away. I took off running down the street screaming obscenities like a lunatic and ripping my clothes off because they had gotten inside my shirt. I'm sure my neighbors thought I had gotten a bad batch of drugs or something. To make matters worse, after I had escaped them, the hornets were all swarming all over the water box and my lawnmower was still sitting right next to the box. I was literally under siege in my own freaking yard. If you got within 10 feet of them, they'd come aggressively at you. I eventually resorted to turning my sprinklers on to get them away from the mower, and I ran down there and grabbed my mower. I hastily pulled it back into my garage and called it a day. Pretty sure I would be dead if I was allergic. The sheer amount of stings was absurd. Arms, legs, back, neck, chest, hands all absolutely covered. Ordering an expensive food that ends up tasting absolutely disappointing while on a diet. Food poisoning, vomit, dizziness, and fatigue already aren't good alone. Having all three is probably the most unpleasant experience. Slicing jalapenos, having a contact lens slip, and forgetting to wash your hands before fixing it. 0/10 do not recommend jalapeno juice in the eyes. Same goes for peeing, if male. Crapping with no toilet paper. In the woods. I saw Spider-Man Homecoming in 4D. That was the worst cinematic experience I ever had, and I paid good money to see Wild Wild West in 1999. Seeing any movie in 4D would probably break my brain. I hope you are okay. Watching a movie based on a book after reading the book. A crippling hangover. 1/10. At least there is the foggy memory of a fun evening. Attending your girlfriend's friend's boyfriend's father's funeral. I barely even knew her friend. It was absurd and I've never felt more out of place. Funerals are for friends and family, not people you met one time a couple years ago. Accidentally nicking your balls while you're shaving your crotch. Breaking my little toe. I feel like the big toe would be worse. The whole ship goes down without the captain. Only estimating, but watching your child die. I was going to say, giving birth to 2 dead babies on the same day. That day sucked. Passing a kidney stone. Tearing your meniscus. Forgetting you still have socks on and walking into the shower. Also, when your snow boot gets stuck in the snow and you don't realize and try to keep walking and end up walking right out of the boot. Now you're trapped in a balancing act. If you move you'll fall over. If you don't move, you'll get frostbite. Stepping on a slug while barefoot is one of the most unpleasant things I can think of. Having an ultrasound done on my testicles. Not painful at all, just very awkward and uncomfortable. Also, a twisted testicle is no fun at all. Getting the blood vessel in my nose cauterized. Being sick with bronchitis on a long flight. I've shared this story before, but basically 13+ hours of constant coughing and a fever in a capsule 30,000 feet in the air that you can't escape is pretty bad. 0/10 would not recommend. Anxiety and panic attacks are torture, especially in public places. Firm 0/10. Having to put your dog down the day after having your wisdom teeth removed. 10/10 would rather die first. You have been visited by the snake of great corn. You will be blessed with corn for eternities to come, but only if you comment, "Corn me up, snake." If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.